Hey,
Howdy, bitch.
how's it going?
How you doing?
Welcome back to Coming Up for Air, an introspective podcast. I'm your co-host, Jaxon.
I'm your co-host, Brendan.
And today, we're going to be talking about school. In all regards, be high school, college, and a little bit of the younger stuff, but mostly those two.
Whack ass shit.
I will say, as a disclaimer, we are talking about the American education system. We, both as Americans, don't really know much about other educational systems outside of the U.S. But we'll pretty much be talking about college, whether or not you should or shouldn't go, the relevancy of it, high school in comparison to that, the cost of higher education.
And this is all our own based opinion. You know what I mean? As you all know, like, at this point, but again, I feel like we have to throw it out there. Like, this is really just our opinion on how we feel about this.
Yeah.
If you don't want to take it to heart, don't take it to heart.
Different types of school and kind of just how things that we've gained and lost from the school system and kind of just how it operates. But that's for a little bit from now, because first we're going to do our check-in. Brendan.
Yeah, man. So obviously recently started serving at said job. Right? Bro, and one of the coworkers, right, their keys go missing. They just so happen to leave their keys right in the area where I was doing my side work. So obviously I'm the suspect, right? I'm the sus, right? Everyone's looking at green like, yo, he did it. You know what I mean?
Wow, we're still making Among Us jokes?
I wish Among Us was still cool. I really did like that game a lot.
You want to know what's crazy about
Can
Among
we
Us?
play Among Us? Like, get everyone to keep playing
You want to
Among
know
Us?
the crazy part about Among Us is? If I was streaming when I originally started playing Among Us, which was 6 months before it blew up.
You would have been goated. You would have been blown up.
But Jarek and I found it and literally were like, oh yeah, this looks like a fun game for us to play. And we sent it to all our friends. It was like 99 cents when we bought it. So it was like, we paid like $1. We all played it. And we played the shit out of it.
Hell yeah.
And then it blew up and I was like, no, dog. No. My chance.
Fuck. This is my one big ticket, man.
Among Us go crazy, I guess.
Among Us does go. It honestly is a lit ass game.
It sucks because you know what I realized about myself as a human whenever Among Us got really big? I hate whenever things are popular. I hate
Mainstream shit.
Yeah, I hate mainstream shit. And like,
I'm not very mainstream. I'm like edgy, you know?
I'm a hipster. No, it's just like the moment that it became super popular, I was like, man, I just don't give a shit about playing this game anymore. And then like, also the memes killed it half to death for me. And that's all that I can associate it with now. And I'm like,
yeah, the
man,
memes were rough. I ain't gonna lie to you. Some of the shit I saw, I was like, that's rough.
Yeah.
But regardless, I mean, Among Us, you still kind of call out people's character, but it's just really funny to watch people fold. And it's funny to watch the people who suck at lying try and lie their way through shit. You're like, bro, you're obviously
so much worse. It was bad.
That's so.
It was rough times.
That's so much fun. No, but right. So at work, obviously, everyone thinks that I'm sus, this and that. Listen, bro. And this isn't even me trying to like flex, bro. But like, yesterday was my 4th day serving at said job. Also, that same day, I got my first $100 tip from like a party, a table. I was feeling fantastic. I literally felt like God walking out of there last night. You know what I mean? Like they were like, "All right, you're cut." I was like, "All right, cool. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? I'm gonna go handle my shit and do all my side work, yada yada, this and that, with a fucking smile on my face, knowing I'm about to get some fucking cash. You know what I mean?" Mm-hmm. And these motherfuckers are like, "Nah, bro, you stole this motherfucker's car keys and AirPods." I was like, "Bro, what? What are you talking about?" You know what I mean? And I think it's just crazy how quick people are to call out someone's character without even understanding who they are. You know what I mean? And like, I know we all do it. You know what I mean? And then, like, no matter how sus it looks, like, if they want to obviously, like, assume, like, oh, yeah, yada, yada, it just lines up this way, like, cool. But, like, didn't even approach to, like, try and ask this person, you know, me in this situation, like, hey, like, dog, you know, some serious shit. Yeah, hey, did you take my shit? You know what I mean? I'd have been like, obviously, like, even if I did, like, obviously, I'm gonna be like, oh no, but like, based off my reaction, you'd be able to see, like, all right, bro, like, there's
Also,
no
it's
way.
not like they just went straight to a manager and were like, "Hey, can you help me handle this situation?" They told like the rest of your workplace.
Yeah, bro. Like, I literally had a homie like let me know, like, yo, by the way, I know you're new and shit, but everyone kind of is talking about how you stole so and so shit. I'm like,
That's crazy.
what are you talking about, dog? I don't even know what kind of car she drives, eh? I don't know what car she drives. I didn't even know there was car keys. My mom was like, yeah, you know, like car keys. And I was like, bro, I thought you were talking like house keys, bro. Like, she just needed her house keys. Like, she couldn't get home. Nah, bro, her ass was stuck at the restaurant, bro. She couldn't go nowhere. I was like, that's tough. Don't get me wrong. Like, that's a toughie. You know what I mean? But also at the same time, like, bro, that shit just blew my fucking mind how quick someone was able to just be like, oh, yeah, for sure, bro. I think it was him. You'd be able to tell. We've talked about reactions and being like, people being like defensive off like rip. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I was laughing about it. Like, when my mom's, but obviously my moms don't think that's funny. Love you, moms. I don't know if you're in a situation with somebody, and you think somebody's a bad person because hey, big guy, I think you're a bad person because this, and based off their reaction, about 90% of the time, I could say you'll probably know. I feel like reaction is everything. You know what I mean?
I want to talk about the movie day that's coming up.
Yeah, movie day.
Yeah, so I'm a big film guy. I love movies. And Shay and Brendan wanted to plan a day basically where we would get up super early and just watch all of my favorite movies. Basically just a bunch of movies that I'm like, oh, these are movies you guys should see. And so I'm like compiling a list basically together, because it's coming up in about a week and a half or 2 weeks time. Let's say, yeah, so 2 weeks from yesterday or something like that.
Yeah.
And the whole idea is basically that we're gonna go from early in the morning and then we're gonna go all the way through and then hit our time where we start playing D&D, and then like that'll be the day.
Yeah.
And I just like,
have you been compiling?
Yeah, I have a couple like things that I'm like, okay, these are like, we gotta hit these.
Do you have like set snacks and shit or like foods that we're gonna do?
No, not yet.
I want you to have like your own theme, and I want it to be like a Jaxon day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want like your themed food and everything, bro.
It's so weird because you guys were the ones who planned this.
Yeah.
You guys were the ones that like, we should do this thing.
Yeah, but it's like in honor of Jaxon, you know?
Which is such a strange thing because like, and obviously I appreciate it a lot and it means a lot to me. It's just so strange, I guess, because like, I guess it's weird to have people who are like, I want to go out of my way to like experience these things that you talk about all the time or that you care about, and we will set a day for us to just do that.
Yeah. That shit is lit.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's because we fucking care about you.
And like, I don't really have like a lot to say about it. It was more just like a check-in thing of like, oh, this is something that I'm excited about. This is like a neat thing that my friends are doing for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it, to be honest with you. You should name like just a couple movies. I want to see what's on your list.
We're going to watch The Shining. We're going to watch Dr. Sleep. So we're going to watch those two.
Are those like horror movies?
Kind of. They're more like suspense.
Okay.
We're going to have like 3 horror movies, basically.
Okay, I was waiting for it.
Because then it's also Silence of the Lambs. Those are the 3 that we got to watch.
All of them?
Yeah. Watch those 3.
Okay. So maybe no zoomies that day.
I don't know. Up to you. It's either, but I also don't know if I want to throw The Shining in, if I just want us to watch Doctor Sleep instead and skip The Shining. But I don't know what you guys have seen.
I haven't seen any of them.
I see. So then we have to watch The Shining. Because we can't just watch Doctor Sleep.
I'm here for whatever, dog.
But we're going to watch those. I want us to watch Knives Out.
What time are we starting at? Are we starting at like 4 or 5 a.m.? Just like butt fucking early dawn?
No.
We're just gonna all night it.
No. I figured you guys would like that we'd start at like anywhere between 7 and 9
a.m.
Yeah. I feel like that's more reasonable.
Got it. I think I just spend the night Friday night. I probably
want?
Yeah, I'll probably like shower and then just crash out on the couch. So then that way I get like ultimate amount of sleep. You know what I mean? I don't have to worry about waking up and driving over and maybe, dying.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Big excited. Those are some of the movies that I kind of have planned.
Big bub.
Probably get a Tarantino film in there somewhere.
Oh.
Maybe we'll watch Pulp Fiction or something.
Oh. Okay. I feel it.
I feel like I really got to get movies that like I know you guys haven't seen that I like a lot.
Yeah.
Ooh, we're gonna watch Upgrade, dog. Oh, if you haven't watched the movie Upgrade, it's an amazing film, and it's like it was a small studio film, but it was really really good. To kind of like give an overview of what the plot is, basically like this guy, his wife passes away, and he gets paralyzed.
Oh.
And he basically gets like a sci-fi film, kind of like a cyberpunk. He gets a chip planted in him that like can speak to him, but it also helps him like to where he can walk again. He has full motor control again. And he gets really fucking good at fighting because people are coming after him. It's super fucking wild. But like the chip basically will take over whenever he needs to fight. It's like, let me fight for you.
Man's really goes ultra instinct.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, no, like for real. And he's super good at it. It's this guy.
That's crazy.
He looks like Tom Hardy, but he's not Tom Hardy. I can't remember his name, but he's in a couple films.
I know you.
He's also in a horror movie that was like.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, but
like I know
there's literally a scene where like he's getting. It's in the trailer, but somebody swings at him and he just goes. And like he literally goes, "I'm so sorry," but it's just like he's just shifting. And
yeah, bro's really on some ultra instinct shit.
He's like really good at body acting, so like. You can see, like, he, like, looks like he's being forced to move in certain ways. Like, it's not natural movement and fluid. It's also really good cinematography. I'm very excited to watch this movie again. But we're going to watch that. And it's a short movie. I think it's, like, only an hour long or a little more. I
was going to say, how long are these fucking movies?
It's only, like, 90-minute movie.
How long are the rest of the other movies?
The Shining is a long movie.
Like 3 hours?
No, I think it's, like, 2 hours and some change.
Are most of the other movies like 2 hours?
Probably around there.
Yeah, you gotta like try and crank in like the schedule.
Yeah, that's why I said I'm kind of figuring it out. I'm getting the movies that, like I said, I really want to watch, and then we're gonna like I'm gonna thin out basically. Like, okay, what are the movies that I can fit in the time slots? Anyway,
any whore.
I'm sure you guys will hear about that in about 2 weeks. And how it went.
Probably, yeah.
But let's hit our main topic. We've gone on for long enough. Let's talk about school. So, I want to give us a quick breakdown for our people who are not from the States. What's school like in America? I think that this is
dog shit.
It's an interesting conversation because obviously there's a lot of like privilege that is still here in America when it comes to the school system, but it's also a very flawed system. So what's your school experience, Brennan? What is your schooling, your educational background?
Um, shit. Graduated high school. And then I went to like my first month of college, and
Did you go to public or private school?
so I went to public school all throughout, like middle school, elementary school, and then towards the end of 8th grade, I went to a private school, like or I think it was a private charter or public charter is what it was called.
Yeah, there's different types of schools, so it's charter, private, and public school.
Yeah, it was like a public charter.
One of them is ones that you pay for.
Yeah, I didn't pay
The
for
other
it.
one is one that you just are on a wait list for, and they
Yeah,
basically
that.
preview to go through.
That.
I think that's a private school.
No, I'm pretty sure it's the other way around.
Charter?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I went to
And
a
then
charter.
public school is the one that everybody goes to.
I wore a uniform. This shit was hilarious.
Both private and charters do that.
Yeah, that shit was so funny, bro. But I don't know, man. It was a little weird. Obviously, like the city that I came from, or like grew up in, I guess. Very sheltered. Very like bubbled. Especially the schools that I went to, like it was a very bubbled environment. Very like we don't really know what the real world is. You know what I mean? Like I feel like a lot of the people that I went to school with, like none of us really knew what the real world was, and no one really prepared us for it. And you know, like you always get those teachers that are like, oh, like they're not gonna accept this, like later on, yada yada, this and that, and that's because like they're dealing with the real world. Like outside of school, that whole like persona is completely dropped. You know what I mean? Of like a teacher. You know what I mean? And I wish that like I don't know, I wish they were more like honest about the world and more honest about like what the world expects from you. You know what I mean?
I think some of them actually are super honest. I think that they just get... Sometimes those end up being the teacher that everybody doesn't like, because they hold you accountable for a lot of shit.
I feel you.
And like that's how it is. You know, people don't like authority.
Yeah, bro. I definitely did have a big like authority issue for a while. And I think for me, it was more of the authority issue when authority, like people who had a figure of authority felt like they were like above you. You know what I mean? Or they feel like, you know, like, oh, I can talk down on you because I'm at this
That's
position.
different. I feel like most people don't like that.
Well,
I
yeah.
just mean in the sense that like a lot of people have issues just with authority in general. Like if there's a person in a position of power that is above you, you immediately dislike them.
I feel you.
But anyway, I went to public school all of my life. Actually, I went to Catholic school for preschool and kindergarten, which doesn't really matter because I don't really remember it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, all public school. So I never had to wear a uniform. I never experienced any of that shit. I pretty much could wear whatever I wanted as long as it fit dress code, which basically just meant no booty shorts and no tees that like showed off my tits.
Yeah.
Yep.
Basically, our dress code was just catered towards telling females what they couldn't wear, women what they couldn't wear.
Yeah, I mean that's what most dress codes are for schooling. Let's kind of school in America is an interesting thing to talk about because obviously it depends on where you live. You'll get a different experience. Though some things are standardized, for the most part, your school's like requirements, at least for public schools, your school's requirements to be certified and be able to be a like actual school that is reputable, you have to meet certain government issued mandates or like statewide government mandates. So some things can be different from state to state, which is important. Um, I think that the public system is really flawed. It doesn't work, and I don't think that most of our school system works
At all.
and that's
the whole standardized testing like bullshit.
I think that's something that we'll kind of touch on in a second whenever we go through kind of like how important is school and like what you learned in it. And I think we're going to focus first on high school because that's what most people will get out of this, and then we're going to move to college, so we'll go in like actual living order. But I also went to college. I graduated from college, and it was a time and a half. But we'll get there. But so let's start with high school. What was your high school experience like, Brendan? And we'll kind of go from there.
Again, I think it was very sheltered. I think it was I don't even know. Like, it was like, the thing about our high school was I went to a very, very small high school. I think our graduating class was like 150 to 250 kids.
That's small shit.
I might be lying. Maybe a little bit more. Under 500, I think.
Yeah, that's considered a small graduation.
Yeah. And like we did it at like, well, I eventually, like my senior year, I transferred to an actual public school and ended up graduating at the stadium.
Yeah.
Like with all the big high schools and shit like that.
Yeah.
But the high school that I went to for the longest, they did their graduation in the new football field they built. You know what I mean? Because it was so small enough to do that. So like that kind of goes to show you, like, with that environment, when you have such a small environment, that's one of those like year in and year out, bro, like on a day-to-day basis, if something happened in first period, bro, by like
everybody and their mama know,
dude, them, their mother, their auntie, their best friend's mama, when you see them, they're gonna be like, hey, yo, I heard this happen. You know what I mean? Like the front office ladies are gonna be like, oh, I know why you're up here.
Front office lady, yeah, they're sitting there typing, they go,
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and I
you're here.
And like, okay, I ain't gonna lie, I had to really, like, I got it easy only because like how low-key was cool with everybody. Like I was able to like obviously be a fucking student, but then when it came to teachers, like I got the student athlete treatment being a football player. So like I know sometimes
it's real too. Like,
no, it really is, bro.
Student athlete treatment is so fucking real, and it's worse in public school.
Oh, I bet.
It's like really bad. Like there are students who are like, no matter what is happening, no matter what they're doing, they won't get in trouble because they're an athlete.
Yeah.
And that's more important because it's generating the school funds. If our team performs well in a public school, that is in-ground funding because the more that we perform well, the more students go, the more parents go, and the more other schools.
The more they're talked about, rated better, all that.
Yes, and then the more other schools that they'll face because they'll go to like regionals and all that shit, right? Or state champs and shit like that, and that gets them kickback.
Yeah.
Also, if your school really does well at a sport and then you get trophies for it, that also gives you a kickback financially. And so it's really, that's why it's such a big deal in public schools for sports to be good.
Yeah, that's why like in like the powerhouses for football and shit like that, that's why like you see so much like scandal with football. I don't know, obviously, like I don't know if you pay attention to like high school football here, but
no. I did pay attention to college for a while, but
yeah, so the high school football situation here is very, very shady in a sense of like you see a lot of the same high schools that have been the powerhouses in high school damn near recruiting kids off of like their like 7th, 8th grade, like, oh yeah, this kid's gonna be some shit. Yeah, like, hey, like going out to his games, like, hey, you should really think about going to high school here, man. Like, we could really get you to college, blah blah blah, this and that. Like, you'll start on varsity, blah blah blah, this and that. You know what I mean? Like, you get told a whole bunch of shit. You know what I mean? So that
not even just that, but like then you tell them that, and they're locked in pretty much. Like
Yeah.
it's hard to transfer schools.
Yeah, and so here they have
I guess it's not hard, but it
well not they had
mentally can be hard.
and they had the penalty of every time you switch, you had to sit out for 5 games. So now you're costing this kid film. You know what I mean? Because what if he goes to this high school and doesn't end up getting any game time? So now he has no film regardless. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna penalize him because he getting out of a shitty situation. You know what I mean? And there's so much that also goes into it. Like our education as a whole is rated one of the worst and lowest in the States. And like I had some football coaches as fucking teachers, you know what I mean? Like there was times where like,
oh dude, those are the worst.
Like, oh, I'm coach so and so, but I'll be your guys' history teacher. Like I'm like,
and they still make you call them coach.
Yeah.
Enter name here.
Yeah, it's like, bro, like you obviously don't know what you're talking about.
Well, and like it'd be fine if it weren't for the fact that like if it's a coach teaching a general studies class that you are required to take, there's guaranteed to be at least one student that passes through that door that is his player. And
if not multiple.
And I damn near guarantee you that student got a B or a C no matter what they turned in.
Oh, yeah, bro. And it was like, all right, that kid, I know because I probably was that kid. There was times where like the homie Nick, like me going to high school with Nick, like you asked Nick, there's times where we used to be in honors classes with each other, right?
No shot.
I promise you, I used to be an honors kid, bro. I really was. We would be in class together. You could see how tired my man's was from homework, doing his shit. My man's used to grind work at a young age too. Like he was putting in his work, bro. He was tired. You know what I mean? Still cracking jokes, still doing his thing. But you could tell, like, yeah, bro, I did my work on time. Like, I got all my shit. Even my ex-girlfriend, like, got all my shit done, like, yada, yada, this and that. I was up all night doing this. Me, I have practice. When I get home after practice, I'm hella tired. I'm like, I don't really want to do any homework. Oh, but I just have conditioning tomorrow, so I don't have to really do anything in pads. I won't be tired tomorrow after practice. I walk in tomorrow into school. Hey, miss so-and-so, yada, yada. So I really had practice, and it ran a little bit extra long, and yada, yada, this and that. Can I just turn this in tomorrow? Yeah, for sure, no worries. Like, oh, yeah.
Turn in by Monday.
Yeah. Dude, my favorite was the subs who would get used to us, because, like, obviously, us being a small school, we had the same subs. So they had, like, the same, like, list of subs, and we all knew the subs, and, because some of them have kind of been with this like said company and said school for like a while. You know what I mean?
That's how most schools work. Is they have a contracting.
Oh, okay. So then yeah, and so we all kind of got used to them. Like obviously, like come my junior senior year, like these are the homies. Every time I saw a certain stuff, I was like, "You're the homie." I was like, I already know how this fucking class is gonna go. But then some of them knew like I was an athlete. So there was times where some of the sub would be like, "Hey, I'm just gonna give y'all busy work, yada yada, this and that." And then you could tell they would like come up to like the athletes in the in the class and they'd be like, y'all really don't have to do this. Like you could lay down, you could do this. Like
and that's my thing is that everybody
that shit was so lit.
In some regard, it is either a idolization of these kids or it is the understanding that like they are what causes funding. So we just kind of like, or it's the like, this kid has potential, so I'm not gonna try and bog them down and take that away. Anyway, this is kind of spiraled a little bit off topic, but
only kind of.
I do think that athlete favoritism plays a big part, especially in public school. But
as education, let's try to focus on education.
Let's kind of zero in. What do you feel like people gain from high school? I feel like the conversation of 8th grade and below is kind of a moot point because I feel like most of the stuff you gain from that time period is stuff that is helpful for your daily life. It is basic addition, mathematics, stuff that will allow you to function in society at some scale in a greater form. Mm-hmm. I'd argue even freshman year of high school, for the most part, pretty good set of skills to know.
Unless you're like that like genius freshman that's like
Yeah.
on some like AP, I'm taking like full AP classes, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
This and that. Yeah.
But like I think that pretty much after freshman year, which is 11th grade, 9th grade. Sorry, it is 9th grade. Yeah, no, sorry.
I was like, hello.
Which is 9th grade. That is pretty much from there on out is the point where like now we're entering a.
And especially because like the age you are turning is like 15, 16. Like you said, you're getting closer to that, like hitting that quarter mark of a year where like this is really like the end, or this is kind of really all you know. You know what I mean? This is really like everything in your life. You know what I mean?
And I think that from that point forward is kind of when things fall apart for the education system. Because even before then, there's some stuff that's definitely like, I don't really know why we spend so much time on that. But I like one thing that I see often brought up is our funding for arts programs. I was a theater kid. I did a lot of theater stuff in high school all 4 years. And so I obviously have a very big love for the arts. But I think that it's the same thing that I brought up last week where like arts divisions in general get severely unfunded. But the thing I brought up last week is that people need arts and ways to have creative outlets because that is how some people function properly in society. That is how they have things that drive them and impact them. That's where you get actors from. That's where you get singers from. That's where you get people idolize these things. And yes, we also have athletes. But I guarantee you more people in society know the name of actors and artists than they do athletes.
Oh, for sure.
And yet it is still drastically unsupported.
Yeah, because it's almost like the stigma is like, oh, if we can, breed a superstar athlete, like we're a great school.
Yeah, and not even just that, but it's like, it's lame to be not an athlete. It's lame to be a theater kid or a choir kid.
Yeah, a lot of people definitely. Dude, I was in choir in middle school. That shit was so funny, bro.
But that's the thing is like, do you know there's such bad stigmatism around like band and theater and choir kids?
Bro, I'll tell you what, bro. I had
some of it deserved.
Some of it do be deserved.
Same thing with athletes.
Oh, 110%. But the thing about the difference is like, athletes have bigger yes men and bigger I can stroke your ego, don't worry about it if they do something stupid.
Yes.
You know what I mean? When theater kids like do something that's like very questionable or like, what are you doing? Everyone is like, what are you doing? And then that's where it's fucked up, because when an athlete does it, they have like a posse of people who are gonna fucking swallow them no matter what. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit different in those regards, and I think it's just hella fucked up. But I think it was always cool to like we definitely went to some of the murder mysteries in high school. I remember Nick would like be like, hey dog, like, because he was an art kid, obviously, with his drawing and shit like that, but he kind of saw like, oh, like, bro, like some of the shit that they're doing is actually like really dope. Like, some honestly, with the shit that our high school did have, our theater program and the teacher that they had, like, you could tell they put like so much into it and they cared so much about it.
Yeah, and that's what most of the people do is like, when it's the after school program people, so the actual theater program, those are the people who really care and are putting in the time for the most part, that like they're taking the time. It's just like going to practice, they literally are practicing. They are taking time out of their day after school in their free time to do this thing because they care about it. Also, I will say, I definitely think that athletes get by also on the like pretty privilege too. Same thing with like cheerleaders.
For sure. Cheerleaders are athletes though.
Yeah, they are. It's just that some people don't classify it. It's like how some people don't classify dance as athletes.
I feel you.
I just wanted to preface it.
Oh, I get you. I was like, what you trying to say, dog? I was like, oh,
no,
I was like,
my sister was a cheerleader and a dancer.
Yeah, bro, 110%. Like, I remember certain high schools. Like, I remember, like, especially switching to a bigger high school, you saw the difference in like privilege. Like, I thought my student athlete privilege. Don't get me wrong, I still had like the student athlete privilege at that.
It's just almost doubled up.
Bro, when I tell you, like, one of my homies who played running back for the varsity team, he could walk in, and since I was homies with him, I could do this too. We at some point we would walk in smelling like pack, like straight. Like if we just lit 4 J's,
You were Kush.
we were Kush. And
I am Groot.
I am Groot. You know what I mean? We would sit down, whole fucking classroom smelling, bro. They ain't gonna say shit.
No, yeah, but like it's, and it with the pretty privilege, Jesus fuck.
I was like, you okay there, bud?
No, it's now not just the teachers that are catering to you; it's also your classmates.
Yeah.
This has spiraled drastically into just an issue with the public system on how we handle sports and fine arts. But anyway, let's pivot back. I think that beyond freshman year is when things fall apart, because that's whenever you really start to get into like, you have to meet these certain requirements to graduate, and your electives kind of dwindle almost a little bit because you are either taking up more classes until your senior year, or you are actively picking things that are required. Like, for example, an elective in public school for us, we had 2 of them pretty consistently unless you fucked up. One of them for 2 years had to be a foreign language, which
that was
Spanish.
the same for us.
Yeah. Like, you
It
know,
was either Spanish or Japanese for us.
For us, it was Spanish or French, but then our French teacher left and they never rehired.
Oh.
Yeah. And the year before I got there was a German teacher, but they also left.
Tough.
So yeah, that's why I don't know German.
I wish I would have taken that Japanese class. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
But that Japanese class was also a lot of like people where I was like,
a lot of theater kids.
Low key. And at the time I was just like, obviously,
And
very judgmental.
And that's what fucks me up. That's what fucks me up, because it's the same thing that I said about playing games back in the day. Everything comes full circle, and then it becomes mainstream, and everybody thinks it's so cool.
Yeah, bro, I hella
Anime it was lame as fuck to watch.
No,
and
whoa,
and now everybody loves
whoa.
that shit.
Okay, I would say that I wasn't gonna say it because I was always a big anime fan, bro.
Were you a big anime fan, or were you a big Naruto and Dragon Ball Z fan?
I watched Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, my Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal Alchemist. When did you start watching that?
Like 7th grade, 8th grade.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I always like back and forth with like I'd catch Bleach every once in a while because my brother watched Bleach.
Also mainstream.
Go fuck yourself. I was a kid.
I know, but like that's my point.
Yeah, but like I still grew up on anime.
Yeah, but like my point was, it was not cool like anime,
yeah.
and now it is because everybody thinks it's cool. Anyway, fuck society.
Society fucking sucks, man.
Yeah. This podcast is just an hour of us bitching about how the world works.
No, literally. And okay, so here's my thing with like the whole education system, right? You have a bunch of teachers who I would say what percentage would you put it as teachers as care? Like genuinely care?
I think I genuinely wholeheartedly believe that it's like an 80-20 split. I think 80% of teachers care. I think that they just are selective on who they care about and how much and when.
I feel that. Because I definitely, because certain teachers like kind of relate or like kind of like cling to like different students.
And they'll just be like,
that.
I'm just going to tap out of this. Because there's teachers that I've had that I'm cool with when I'm not in their class. And I'm like super cool with them. And then I see them talk to other students. I'm like, why'd you never talk to me like that? And they're like, because I knew you wouldn't do the work. And they're like, I like you as a person, but I hate you as a student.
I definitely had that.
And they were like, and I know that you won't do the work, so I'm not going to waste my energy and time caring about that when you don't care either. And I was like, damn.
Got him.
So right. Thanks for giving me my D so I could pass.
Thanks, man. No, I definitely like, with the teachers who did care, it's almost so hard because it's like, even with the select few that they do care about, there are so many fucking kids that are like causing just pure fucking mayhem and like chaos in class, you know what I mean? And it's like, how does this teacher even like do what they're trying to do? You know what I mean? And 9 times out of 10, they have to pay for everything that's in their class. You know what I mean? I know like at some point, a lot of teachers like that's why like teachers here went on strike. You know what I mean? Because they were like these teachers have to pay for all of the paper and all the pencils or whatever bullshit
just
that they
basic
need.
utilities in classrooms.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And they have to pay for all that shit out of pocket. You know what I mean? And then they have to worry about going a whole summer without getting paid because obviously
we
they're
make
not
better
working.
money as service workers,
Flipping burgers and fucking doing random. It doesn't matter what you do. Yeah, it don't matter what you do in the service industry, bro. You're still making better money than a teacher.
I can get an entry level programming job for the company my mom works for, and I will be making like almost double what a teacher makes.
This shit is fucking sucks, bro. So then not only do you have these teachers who do really care about trying to make someone else's future better, but how do you expect them to care and want to come to work to every day when they're getting paid dog shit? Like I know people who...
Which like money... I wouldn't say money should be the incentive because like a lot of teachers who say that they do it, they're like, I do it because I want to impact people's lives. But people got to live.
Yeah, bro. People have to survive at the end of the day.
And if you're spending all of your time stressing about how you're going to make ends meet, like...
Yeah, if you're...
then, like, at some point that drags you down.
Yeah, because some teachers are working 2 jobs. You know what I mean? Where on the weekends, they're trying to serve or do this and do that.
Yeah, they do whatever the fuck, Or they go, like, I go from my work job, and then at 3, I immediately race to my other job, and I'm there from 4 till close.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And that shit fucking blows my mind because then it's like, yeah, and then once I'm done closing, then I go home and grade papers, and then I'm up till, 3 or 4 o'clock, and I wake up at 6 and do it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, like, their routine.
Yep.
And that shit fucking blows my mind because it's like, well, I don't know how you expect somebody to come in
and care and pour into these people.
Yeah, and pour into young people who obviously have an impact on what our future looks like. You know what I mean?
And not only that, but like they're young people who also usually don't fucking want to listen and think that they're right
and have no idea who they are.
And that's not a strike against those people because I was one of those people. I think everybody is.
Yeah, I definitely didn't want to hear what any of our teachers had to say. Yeah. I thought it was all bullshit. I was like,
there's obviously some things that you pick up on that you like actually listen to and take into account and care about, but I think that there's a lot of things that you just kind of like shrug off because you hear so much shit every day.
Yeah.
I literally I had a teacher and I was like, oh, are you excited for graduation? And it was my graduation this time, and he was like, and I was like, well, you like the student who's writing the speech? And he was like, yeah, but I've been teaching for 35 years. Once I've heard the 4th speech, I'd heard every speech. And I was just like, damn. You literally could not be paid enough to be here. And that's the thing is like you're constantly watching people also cycle and leave your life.
Yeah, I feel like that would be tough at some point.
Yeah, at a point you get desensitized. And so that mixed with like, you don't get paid enough. You have to meet certain criteria that is constantly changing and you might not necessarily agree with and doesn't give you a whole lot of leeway to move. So there's not a lot of room for creativity in that sense. You have usually like a higher up, a board breathing down your neck about it and what your student's performance looks like, which you can only impact so much. Mm-hmm. They will constantly threaten you with like firing because of that. And then it's just like, I don't know, dude. It's just all types of fucked. Like, and to top that off with students who don't give a shit about what they're learning about.
Yeah, it's so hard to ask like young kids to be like
motivated.
Yeah, especially about like you ask these kids to sit in a 30 to 45 minute. Sometimes, especially in high school, like they could be hour-long classes.
It was hour-longs for me.
Yeah, but you force people to sit for 60 minutes and listen to some bullshit that they're not interested about at all. You know what I mean? At least in different countries, you have people who are like from a young age, they have them test. Almost like an ASVAB, as if you were to go into the military, and whatever you're good at, whatever makes sense to you in your head, like automatically, they go and put you in school for shit like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And like, not even just that, but even just taking like into account, like, hey, this is a student's learning style. Like, there are tests that can help put students in positions that would give them the ability to be like, I learn this type of way, so I shouldn't be paired with this teacher because they teach like this.
Yeah.
I had a teacher, he's a math teacher. I fucked around the whole time. I did not give a shit. I felt awful the whole time. I was miserable. This was like senior year. And so he kind of knew what was going on with me. And knew that I was like miserable and I had a lot of stuff happening in my personal life. And it was just kind of like, I would show up and I would check out. But the end of the year was rolling around and he was like, look, dude, like, you're gonna fail. He's like, come to tutoring twice a week for 3 weeks. And if you do that, you show me you're committed to making sure that you pass this class and that you care in some regard about what happens to your future, you'll pass. And then I do it. I'm like, okay, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here anymore. So I do it. And I was in theater at the time, so I had rehearsals too. So I'd go for an hour, be late by 30 minutes to my rehearsal, and I was the lead, so I was in charge. And so I would be late for 30 minutes and then run over there, go do the thing. And I hated it. I was miserable. I hated doing math, and I hated doing the tutoring.
Math was like the low-key only thing I was kind of good at.
I was good at math. I just hated doing it.
I feel you.
And also, like, the way this teacher sometimes explains some shit did not make sense to me. But that's also because I didn't pay attention the whole semester. And a lot of, at that point, which is Algebra 2 or college algebra, it all falls back on, like, things that you learned previously throughout the year. So, like, it snowballs, you know? But we get to the end of our 3 weeks, and then he goes, sick, you have to pass this test. Otherwise, you're going to fail. I can't do anything for you if you don't. And so I'm freaking the fuck out. But he goes, look, you've shown me that you are able to know this stuff, you're able to learn. I think you can do it. You're a smart kid. You just don't have... I just don't see the passion in this for you. I don't see the drive. I don't see, like, that you care. And I was like, because I don't. And he was like, find a way to make yourself care. And then
that's got to be it with life, though. You know what I mean?
And he was like, and I was kind of one of those first times that, like, I listened to a teacher and I really understood what they were saying to me, in the sense that I was like, this teacher cares about me and they're actually trying to help me, not because they're getting paid to, because they care. They're taking time
from like a human being level.
Yeah. I go in for that test. It's my final. I turn in and I, like, literally hand it to him, and then I'm like, I go sit down, and I'm like last person to hand it in. Bell rings 5 minutes later. I go walk over to him. I said, how do you think I did it by looking over at it? And he said, you're going to graduate either way. You did fine. So he was lying to me. He knew I would be fine.
Hell yeah.
And he knew but he wanted to see it from me.
I feel you.
Anyway, that's kind of like the idea that, like, teachers do care. It's just, you know,
they all pick and choose their own.
Yeah. It's the same thing as, like, therapists, kind of.
Yeah, not every therapist works out for you.
Not even just that, but, like, people's big thing with therapy is that they'll be like, why would I go to somebody who's only listening because I paid them to? But, like, that's not the mentality you should have. It's like, there's someone who wants to help people. There's somebody who's gone to school to make sure that they can help you because they want you to do better and they want you to be the best version of you that you can be. But they got to eat.
Yeah.
They can't just sit there and do it for free. Yeah. Because they got a life. Mm-hmm. Same kind of mindset, you know?
I feel you.
Let's kind of touch.
Tosh?
Yep.
What's Tosh?
Tosh.0.
Tosh.
Tosh.
Tosh my ooh la la. My ding ding dong. You're gonna look at that and be like, what the fuck was going on?
Dude, I don't know. How would you kind of try to fix the high school education system, at least in the States? What is something that you think would really
get rid of standardized testing? First off, standardized testing is bullshit to me.
What's your problem with standardized testing?
Standardized testing is basically how much shit you can cram in your brain within a certain amount of time, and then you have to spew out hopefully whatever you retained on a piece of paper on this test that is like, all right, we're gonna test you from month 1 to month 6, and hopefully in month 6 you know exactly from month 1 everything that you've been possibly taught, without considering the fact of actually dealing with high school. as a young teenager.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Dealing with extracurricular activities such as student athletes and, you know, theaters and different things like that. And I'll tell you what, bro, I was bashing my head every day. Okay, from 3:30 to 5:30, 6 o'clock. All right. As a 14, 15, because I was doing this, I was playing football since I was like 8, right? Mm-hmm. So I've been bashing my head in after school, okay, since I've been 8 years old, okay? Come high school, I'm not going to really retain shit, okay? I'm not really come high school is when my brain is like, all right, we're really done developing here, dog, okay? So as a high school student, for me at least, well, I have to cram all this information that I'm getting taught in because there's a big test that comes up on it. You know what I mean? Your little quarter test, you're like, all right, yeah, you know what you're talking about. Of course you're going to pass that when you just got done talking about it. You know what I mean? But then when you get the fucking reviews you have to do before your big test, bullshit, dog shit. They don't teach you shit. You know what I mean? And then you get to this big test. You're fucked because now you're looking at old notes. You're like, this is scribbles to me. I have no idea what this means. You know what I mean? If you even had old notes, if you're like me,
I learned this 10 months ago. How the fuck am I supposed to remember this thing that we went over for 2 weeks?
Exactly.
If that.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
And it's even worse when it's like, today we're going over how to find a parabola, or what is a parabola?
Yeah, no, it's like today we're going over this. Tomorrow we're going over something completely different. So better remember this. So make sure you pay attention today, guys, because this is gonna be the only day we talk about it.
Would kill me because the teacher would be like, "This is really big. It's gonna be on the test. It's very important that you remember this. But we're only gonna talk about it for this 1 hour today, and God. That's it."
And everyone looks at each other like, "Huh?" So you see everyone scribbling in their notebook things, word for word, of what is going across the screen.
Yeah. And it's an hour. Like that's what's fucking crazy to me. It's 1 day, 1 hour of 1 day, out of almost a whole year, 10 months.
Yeah.
And they're like, you got to pick that shit up because question 69, nice, on the test.
Nice cock.
Is going to involve this one formula that you only learned for this hour.
Yeah, bro.
And you've only used it for this question.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because then you question everything else. Like, hey, could you ever use this on the... No, it's only for this one formula. You can only use that for that. But remember that because it's going to be on the test. Remember that. And it always just sat there.
Yeah.
And you're like...
And it's funny because there are definitely things from like school that I remember. Like I remember learning about it. It's obviously the stuff that I care more about. It's stuff that I retained because I was like, oh, that's cool to know. Like I know how to figure out genes. Like genes.
Hey, James bud.
I know how to figure out like you're more likely to have brown eyes because of your mother or your father having these.
Oh, the little tables, yes, the little thingy things.
Yeah,
yeah. I
can't remember what it's called, but like that's a movie. Hereditary. It's a scary movie. That's actually a fucking terrifying movie. It's not a fun movie. We're not going to watch that one. Because that one's bad.
I don't want to watch anything that's going to jump out and make me shit myself.
Dog. There's ones... Okay, we don't got time for this.
It's fine. That was spooky.
Let's talk about college really quick because we've talked about high school and we're running out of time.
You can talk about college. I went to college for about a month.
Yeah. So what's your opinion on college?
I went to college for a month. So I was at some dookie, brand new university that was very unorganized. And I sat and learned about, it was basically high school, but for college.
It's just college.
It's basically just high school.
With money.
Not only money, but they really actually don't care. Like,
facts.
Like professors are really like, oh, I don't give a fuck if you're here or not. To be honest with you, you already paid the money. So if you want to be here, you can.
No, professors are the type of motherfuckers, and this is honestly super smart of them, but they're the type of motherfuckers that will roll in and be like, look, I'm going to be real with y'all. You already fucking paid to be here. You're losing money if you don't show up to class. Do what you want. But either way, you're paying for the class.
Either way, I'm going to be here teaching this fucking class.
Yeah, and I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where kind of the thing of college comes in. College originally, when it was created, was free. it was with the intent to be a higher form of education for the public and for the masses, for people who wanted to seek it out.
And then America was like, nah.
And then America was like, yeah, but capitalism.
Nah, let's make a profit off of them. Let's make them so in debt.
College is so stupid expensive. And I think that it's become more and more aware to America how expensive it is.
Bro, because the American dream has always been like, go to college. Then you go to college, you get a good job. But guess what? Your good job is paying off your fucking thousands of fucking dollars in debt that college just asked you for. Yeah. They literally just drained you. And then they go, all right, you get this little piece of fucking paper. You go into this fucking field. 9 times out of 10 in college, you don't even remember half of college because the people who are actually in college are just raking themselves to fucking sleep every night.
I wouldn't say it's that. I would say that it's 9 times out of 10 you go into the field and then you realize that it's not even the field that you really want to be in.
That too. So then you have people who really don't give a fuck about what they're doing.
Yeah, and like you just start kind of coasting.
Yeah, and then but you also like it is so.
Also, we as a society frown upon so strongly the idea of either not going to college or taking a leap year, like a gap.
Yeah, I was supposed to take a gap year and then just never went back.
And that's the whole thing, and that's why people shame people for it, because they're like, oh, well, you're never going to go back if you don't keep going, if you don't just like stick to being in school. Yeah. And while part of me agrees, the other part of me does go like, it doesn't fucking matter, because if that person really wants to go to school, they will go to school. Yeah. If that person really was kind of just going to go, then they were going to phone it in anyway. Yeah. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I just think it's fucking crazy how like people are almost bullied into sticking with something because, like, you know, being a student in a certain major and then halfway through your major, you know, like you're like sophomore, maybe going into your junior year, and then you're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
I learned more and this is obviously my experience because of the college that I went to. I learned more in high school than I did in college. And that's because in college, or in high school, I learned a lot of social skills. I learned a lot of like how to talk to people, how to interact with certain things, how to handle situations that are not negative and positive for my life, and like how that works. I learned how to deal with a lot of anxieties that I had about certain things. In college, I didn't have to have that. I didn't really have that like forced interaction. Like I didn't gain a whole lot. The only thing that I think I gained from college is I taught myself really how to do my own research and how to like problem solve to a greater extent, which is a skill that more just got fine-tuned for me. But that's also my specific case scenario. I was already in a position in high school where I was problem solving almost every single day. And I was the only one who could do the problem solving. Or I was like the person they looked to do it. And whereas in college, like the problem solving was like, oh, this is money that I have put in and now I need to problem solve because this is the grade that I'm going to get if I don't. And so and that's kind of touching on the like, what are you really gaining from these things? And I think that there's a third option that we haven't really talked about when it comes to high school, which is there's also just getting your GED.
Yeah, and I feel like, bro, I wish I would have went online school. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
There's a lot of people who feel like they should have just gone online school.
Because it's the same busy work, just minus all the fucking extra time. High school bullshit and
and time. And I think that I know a couple of people who have just their GED, and like they are still people who understand society and like things like that, and understand like societal rules and concepts and stuff like that. And I think that gets into a lot of like nature over nurture questioning on whether or not it impacts you and the environment that you have, and whether or not like the reasons you dropped out and stuff that really can kind of change the game up. But I also think that it's a super valid thing to do. I think that there's no shame in getting a GED, especially because sometimes the reason that you get a GED is because the circumstances just sucked.
Yeah, not only that, but a lot of people have gotten their GED and gone straight into working. You know what I mean? And they're just like, yeah, I really just needed this just to start. Like,
or they got their GED and they were just like, I just hated high school and now I just want to go to college.
Yeah, because a lot of people get their GEDs and then they end up taking their SAT,
Yeah.
ACTs, and they score like still like insanely high. They're just like, yeah, I wanted to go to fucking college already.
It's funny because like what you hear a lot about high school and college, and if you're in high school, I guarantee at some point in your life you will hear this on your road to college, is that if you hate high school, you'll love college. If you loved high school, you'll hate college.
It's cap.
It's cap. I
You're
hated
hate
both.
Yeah, you're gonna hate both regardless.
If you loved high school, you might end up liking college.
Everyone thinks that college is like this fucking dream world where you walk in and it's fucking High School Musical.
Hookers and cocaine and alcohol.
Yeah, and I mean it is that,
but also it's not.
But also it's really not, to be honest with you. And you have
like
to
there's definitely like parties and stuff, but I feel like
those are like you have to be
a lot
like
of busting ass too.
Yeah, and not only that, but those people who are in fucking doing a lot of partying and shit like that usually pay a shit ton of money to be in a sorority or a frat and become someone's bitch for a while. And even then at that point, like they have to put in some fucking work before they can do all that shit too.
Yeah, and I think that like I don't know, it gets a little wishy-washy on certain things, but I think like, that you gain a lot less from college than you lose. I think that there's so many negatives to what our current college situation looks like in America that it is almost like everybody says that college degree is now the new high school degree, like where you need it to get stuff. But I almost feel like it's not worth it.
It's really not, because I know plenty of people who have proven, like a lot of successful people even now, they're like, I never went to college.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you see a lot of millionaires, a lot of successful people, and they're like, I never saw the point in going to college because I already knew what I wanted to do. And obviously that's not the case for everybody, but I think just like understanding that
it's okay to like coast work, like just get a job, do some shit for a little bit while you figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And kind of just vibe and really understand, try and get a grasp on who you are as a person, you know, what you want to do and, you know, what your passions are and, you know, what you enjoy. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, and they try to think that like, oh, you need to have the answers for life like so quick. You know what I mean?
You really don't. Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, bro. Like we're so young. You know what I mean? And the younger you are, like really understand and appreciate the time that you have.
Yeah, take that shit and enjoy it. And there's something to be said about the fact that like college, there is going to be always people in your life who are like, oh, you should go to college, it's worth it, or like you should go to college, it's really important. And you'll be like, oh, but like I don't really need it. That's what I would always say is like the people that are meant for college are the people who need it for their specific career goal that they want to go into, like
and I'll tell
a
you
doctor
this,
or a nurse.
I'll tell you what most people tell you. If you really do want to go to college and think it is for you, go to community college. It's
true.
Like, it's literally like maybe like $2,000 to take care of all your fucking prereqs and all your classes and everything that you need to do. Go test it out. You know what I mean? 9 times out of 10, you know, you'll still have a really good experience with a community college, and it'll be enough to be like, all right, dog. And then if you really think that you want to handle all this school shit, then you go to a big university, and then from that big university, you really only have to handle like another 4 years. I mean, if you go for your bachelor's, but
I mean, if you already went to a year for a community college, then it's 3.
Oh, then 3, yeah. I mean, it depends on if you got your associates and you have to go get your bachelor's, but it depends on what you're in.
Yep.
Anyway, go to community first. Just test it out. It's a lot less money, a lot less work, for real.
I think we should come up for air.
Hell yeah, brother.
Brendan, what you got for me?
So there is this spooky Apex tournament that is going on, and it's supposed to be like in October. It's gonna be pretty dope. I'm actually really excited for it. It's supposed to be like a Halloween themed like tournament. Obviously, you know, Apex is dropping a lot of shit, costume or not, like I guess skin wise. And I think the battle pass for it's gonna be super dope. But I'm really excited for it because I think obviously we made a good amount of noise in our first tournament, and we're running with Lone Wolf, the guy that carried me to Diamond these past couple splits. But yeah, I think that we'll definitely be able to show out, and like, I don't know, I think it's cool because we were all kind of talking about like, obviously being able to be like RG in it, you know what I mean? So like, it's like a full RG team, and like, you know, Sue was really kind of hyped to see, and my brother was really hyped to see, like, oh yeah, like we could really, like, you know, really try and represent and, like, you know, do something. It's just like kind of getting that same like excitement that we got when we played our tournament. So it's kind of cool to see because, you know, I'm so used to doing like, oh, it was just one tournament, you know, like, well, you know, get the next one, yada yada. Then it's like, oh, like we got a couple coming up, you know what I mean? So I don't know, it's really cool. I'm really excited for it. Hopefully I get kind of like the meta down. I'm trying to get a little bit better. I don't know if I really probably should get the 60% keyboard, but I think I'm just gonna do both and get a 60% and the PS5 controller.
I'll just cut that out.
But yeah, I might just get both.
I think you just get a bigger desk and get a normal keyboard.
I don't like the normal keyboard. It's uncomfortable with my hand, dog.
It's gonna be the same thing. No, for real.
I think it's a placebo, though.
That's why I'm telling you it's the same thing. Because either way, you're angling your fingers the exact same way.
Nah.
No, for real.
Nah, you're fucking. I think I need a different keyboard then.
Then, yeah, well, you're going to get a full, like an actual one.
That is a full.
Then get a 10-less.
I want a 60%.
This is a whole conversation for not the podcast. Because I'm going to...
I just want... Okay, so then, yeah, probably not the number pad, but, like, I don't know. I feel like...
The only reason why I say it is because you struggle with doing basic PC functions sometimes.
Yeah.
And adding a 60% to that will make it harder.
Why?
Because you lose functionality. The less keys, the more button combinations you have to press.
Yeah, I know that when it comes to, like...
And sometimes that causes issues with the PC. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you try to do a function, sometimes it won't because it's, like, waiting for you to actually press the hardline key. But you can't press that because it's not real.
Got it. Heard. That's kind of tough.
Yep.
Fuck. Look, hey, that
yeah, no, sometimes I told Cameron to do certain things and then be like, like looks for how to do it. I'm like, oh my God, dude, is it really worth it?
I'll tell you what, that scuff controller is looking a lot better right now.
You do you.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm hyped for it. Yeah. Poggers.
Poggers.
What about you, bud? Pal? Cheerio? Mate?
There you go. Cheerio is how you say bye.
Bugger?
Good again.
Bitch?
That's English again.
Hell yeah. What was bugger?
Bugger is just, it's English, but it's more British slang.
What are you coming up for? Whore?
I was going to talk about, keep kind of with school themed. I was going to talk about a haunted house memory that I have from when we would put it on, my theater program would put on a haunted house every year. So here's the thing. We'd have 2 weeks to get this haunted house prepared.
I'm ready to cringe.
And I was lights and sound, so I would set everything up. Basically, I'd go room to room. We'd have room leaders, so everybody had a section. And I'd basically have all the room leaders come talk to me and be like, okay, what do you want in your room? And they'd be like, these are the lights that I want. I'd be like, okay, let me see what I can do. I'd go talk to the next person. These are the lights that I want. Okay, let me see what I can do. And I basically do that. And then the people that were on the stage, because we'd split the stage in half, were the ones that I'd actually be like, yeah, I can do that. They'd be like, this is what I want. I'd be like, yep, got you. And then go to the next one. This is what I want. I got you. Go to the hallway. This is what I want. And I'll let you know what I can do. And that's kind of how it would go.
So you had your favorites?
No, it's whoever got the stage was my favorites in the sense because I could do a lot more because they had the whole baton of lights.
Got you.
Whereas these rooms didn't have lighting in it. I had to either have LEDs set up or I had to create unique ways to light them with minimal lighting tools.
Heard.
Which can get complicated.
A little bit.
And it was just me. Our tech director, who was a teacher, would never really take part in them. So it was like fully my project that I would be in charge of. This all to say, we would set everything up. We'd do all their audio stuff too, which I also usually had to figure out, or sometimes mix for them. And so I would do all their shit, and then I would the night of the haunted house, which ran for 2 nights, I'd go up to the booth, throw all the stuff on, pop my ass down, and whoever was with me for that night would be like 2 or 3 people. We'd just vibe in the booth for like 4 hours and shoot the shit. We'd play games, we'd eat snacks, we'd watch movies, like whatever it was that we were doing at the time.
Hell yeah. That sounds kind of lit, though.
It was kind of lit. It was kind of fun. It was a lot of, really dumb shit all the time. But it's kind of just crazy that, like, that was it. That was my job, kind of. Because as much as, like, it was an after-school thing for me, I was also hired by the district. So whenever I was doing stuff that was after school, for me, I was still like, this is technically work for me. I'm not getting paid for this because it's, like, volunteer hours under contract. But I was like, this is the same stuff I do for work.
That's kind of fire, though.
It is kind of fire. There was a lot of moments where, like, tech issues would happen, and so I would have to basically, like, run downstairs in, and then they'd be like, okay, a group's coming through, and then I'd wait for the group to pass, and then I'd run into the room and basically just, like, hide somewhere in the room where they wouldn't see me, and then, like, keep doing that, and basically just play hide and seek, and then, like, get to my spot where I could fix the tech thing, and then I'd do the same thing to leave.
That's kind of fire. That's lit. You're playing like fucking... But you're on some Mission Impossible shit.
There is times. Okay, so obviously all the people are dressed up for the haunted house.
Yeah.
Me, I'd be wearing... We had to wear black because when you're in a tech environment, you wear black. So I'd wear jeans like always, a black t-shirt, usually one that had like a tech logo on it, and then I'd wear a baseball cap, and I'd wear it backwards just like this. And I always had like a lanyard sticking out of my back pocket. And so every now and then I would not be fast enough for the next group that was coming in. So they'd see this dude in all black scurry across the room and every now and then just go, what the fuck? And I'm just like, just ignore it.
Yeah, bro. Just like, don't say anything, dog. I got kicked out of a haunted, like, 13 floors.
Oh.
Yeah, I got kicked out. Yeah, because some dude fucking, without me seeing, just fucking grabbed my ankle, bro. Kicked him in the face. Yeah. And
yeah, we've had to kick people out.
And obviously, like, you're not allowed to, like, hit the people.
Yeah.
Like, I freaked out and, like
I didn't know 13 floors had a touching policy. Of, like, they can touch you.
Yeah, when I went.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I remember you would go and, like, oh, I didn't mean to move the mic, sorry. But I remember, like, you'd walk through, and it was, like, they'd have, like, the webbing, like the spike.
Yeah.
Hit my ankle, and I was like, "Ow!" I got him. I was like, and all my homies were like, and they were like, "Yeah, bro, you gotta go. Like, you can't be kicking people like that, dog." And I'm like, "Dog, you grabbed me. What do you expect?"
But you're in a haunted house.
Go fuck yourself.
You're in an environment that asks for it.
Yeah, bro, I freaked out.
So
they didn't even let us go through like the rest of it.
We would do walkthroughs at the end of the night. So like basically all the people would go look at each other's rooms while they were still set up. So it'd be like the first room goes through the whole house, and then the second room will go through the whole house. And any time that there was an empty room, because they'd be like, okay, Jaxon, we're wrapping up, we're doing our walkthroughs, and so I could start putting shit away. I would go into the room that was empty. Because they would all do the same thing where they would all be like, oh, I wonder what this room is. So funny. Theater kid. I hated that shit. I hated when they do that. Because they would always be so fucking snarky about it too. And I'd just be hiding somewhere in the room. But I wouldn't like try and jump out and scare them. Instead, I was like, the first time I did it, I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do, but I'm going to do something so that they shut their fucking mouths. And so what I started doing, and it became a tradition for me for the rest of the 3 years that I worked there, I would hide somewhere in the room, and then whenever the first person got up to me, I would jump out and act like I was just a screaming chicken man, and that was it.
So I just still scare the shit out of people.
Yeah, but like I was a chicken was the whole bit. It's like I would put my arms up and I'd start like clucking and shit, and I'd like walk like the head bob and shit. And they'd like the first person would usually scream, everybody else would laugh, and then they'd all just kind of like watch me waddle around them until they left their room.
Oh no! That's the cringe part. That's the cringe part I was waiting for.
Honestly, it was kind of a funny bit because everybody came to expect it, So that like the people who like been there for, like every year that I'd done it was like, oh yeah, Jackson's gonna do his thing, but they wouldn't say shit to the new people.
I was gonna say they would just let the newbies go first.
Yeah, not even just that. Sometimes they would just be like, yeah, we're just gonna walk through. But they just wouldn't say shit to the new people. So the new people just see me fucking come out of nowhere. They barely know me at this point because we're like, what, 4 months into the year. They've worked with me for 2 months, two and a half, and they just see me confident, like this confident person. They just see walking around like always business mode, fucking being a chicken in their spooky room.
Yeah, and they're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, literally. And everybody else is like laughing and is like, Jackson's doing his thing again.
What a guy.
Anyway.
What a fucking guy.
That's going to be your podcast for today. Brendan, where can they find you?
Instagram and Twitter at KillerB420 with 2 R's. Twitch, KillerB422 R's. And TikTok, KillerB bitches. What about you, Jaxon?
You can find me at RQ on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube.
Aww. And you can find us at Coming Up for Air on Instagram, Up for Air on Twitter, and TikTok's a little whore. And I have to recreate that one.
Really?
Yeah, I meant to tell you that. Yeah, I went to go log in the other day. Got a nice little message.
What did it say?
We can talk about it later. But Coming Up for Air on TikTok soon. Don't worry about it.
All right. If you enjoyed the podcast, please make sure to rate, follow, and subscribe it. And if you know somebody who needs to hear this or just want them to share, go ahead and share it with them. It helps get the word out, and the only form of advertisement we do is posting on social media.
Gang shit.
So, and that's it for us. We'll see you
Later,
next
y'all.
Wednesday.
Be a good human being.